Hi, I'm Charlotte, and we're going to be painting a Galaxy t-shirt in this video. My grandson asked me to do him some shoes for his 7-year-old birthday, and that's in another video, and it's an entirely different technique. But you could probably do this same one on shoes as well if you like this. A few things before we get started. All the supplies are listed down in the description below, and I'll be showing them in the video. Also, the video is shown at double the speed that it took me to paint. So if you need to slow it down, that's fine. Okay, let's get started. First, you need craft paint. I used white, red, blue, and purple. And then you need some sort of fabric or textile medium to help the paint stick to the shirt. I also put a piece of foam core, or you can use cardboard, in between the shirt front and the back so it doesn't bleed through. Need some sponges to apply the paint. I preferred the makeup sponges, but if you have household sponges, that works too. Okay, the paint is mixed at a 2-to-1 ratio. Check what you're using though, just to be sure it's the same. Which means 2 parts paint to 1 part fabric medium, and then mix it up really, really well. I just used the sponge to mix it, or you could use a paintbrush to mix it up, however you like. And it didn't bother me at all that all my colors were running together, because they kind of do that when you get to painting anyway. Just to note, I'm starting on the back of the t-shirt first. That gives me time to get used to the technique. And the back of a shirt's not as noticeable as the front of the shirt. So once you've gotten the hang of this, the front of the shirt will be next. So just grab paint, start dabbing it in. Grab some white, put it on top for lighter spots, and don't blend it all the way in. You want some darker and some lighter. And then when you're ready to move on to another color, you just start blending it into the side. And that's kind of the key, is one color to the next, whether you're putting the lighter white on top or the darker color. And the white is definitely key, because as these colors dry, they're going to get a little bit darker. So don't go light-handed on the white. It helps really get that space and that depth, that dimension feel in the space. Again, like I said, on the back, I was getting used to the technique, getting used to how the colors blended, how much white I needed to use, and how much paint. So I was just feeling it out. So I didn't really have any sort of pattern on the back or any picture. You could certainly look at a Galaxy picture if you're kind of nervous about just jumping in and doing it. Now on the front, you'll see when we get to that part, I do it a little bit more planned. I do a little bit of a swirl. And I found drips like that pink one actually added to this. We'll even put some drips in a little while. So when you do that, don't worry about it. If it's not where you want, just dab it in or leave it. Another note is don't blend in too smoothly, and try not to do too heavy-handed on the paint. The t-shirt was a little stiff. It does loosen up as you wash it, but the less paint you're able to use, the less you have that initial stiffness to begin with. So you just go back and forth, adding the darker color, then adding the white on top where you want lighter spots. Again, don't overmix. Leave some of your dabbing marks or your sponge marks, however you're doing it. And you'll find you'll get the hang of it pretty quickly. After seeing how the paint and the fabric interact, you start painting much faster on the t-shirt. So here I applied straight white. I wanted this area very, very light, like you see when there's a big cluster of stars or solar system. So you can apply the white straight to it first and then just add a touch of color on top. And then just with each time you switch colors, make sure you blend it into the surrounding area. Also, don't cover every inch of the t-shirt. Leave black spots. That's the space part of this. Okay, we got this. Let's just listen to the music and paint. If you run out of paint, just mix up more. Just don't forget to put your fabric medium in. Again, 2-to-1 ratio, 2 parts paint, 1 part fabric medium. So I don't have any cardboard between the sleeves. I used to have a piece of cardboard that was a t-shirt form that was specifically for this, but I couldn't find any. So when you go to the sleeves, just kind of go lightly, and you don't need a lot. You just don't want it to stop abruptly on the back of the shirt or the front of the shirt. So just enough paint so there's kind of continues on. Do be careful of the edge of the cardboard. You can kind of create a harsh line there if you go along it too far. Here's another pink drip. Again, I like that. We're going to add a few more in a minute. So to add drips on purpose, scoop up a paintbrush and then just tap. And you can get various sizes. When you want smaller pieces, flick it. You can do this with an old toothbrush as well for the flicks. That's what we're going to be doing for our stars later. Now wait till it's completely dry, like several hours, and then flip it over. We're going to do the front. Mix up a fresh batch of paint. Again, 2-to-1, 2 parts paint, 1 part fabric medium. The way I kind of guesstimate this is that you see I just cover half of the paint with the fabric medium and then stir it in. It doesn't have to be measured exact, just guesstimate. So on the front, as I mentioned, I'm going to do a spiral pattern, but it's on the top of the shirt. So on the bottom here, it's like the back. I'm going to have just kind of this explosion of colors with the blue, the purple, and the red, and then adding white to give it lighter spots. I'm trying to go a little bit lighter with the paint and spread it out. But if you notice, I'm working just on kind of the bottom half of the shirt. And then you'll see as I add the spiral on top towards the end. So I'm going to be quiet for a few minutes, let you paint. So if you notice down here on the bottom, because I have that piece of foam core, or if you have cardboard down there, if you rub too hard on the side, it almost makes a line where the edge of the cardboard is. So be sure to kind of pull up your fabric and go over that a little bit. It also helps blend the front into the back without being an abrupt, separate picture. And craft paint is an acrylic paint, so it will, if it hardens and dries, it's hard to clean up. I'm working on a table in my studio, so I'm a little less careful about putting down newspaper and things like that because I have paint everywhere. But if you're working on a surface you don't want to get stained, be sure to put down some newspaper, a disposable tablecloth, whatever you need to kind of protect your table from paint getting off the edge like you see up in the top corner. Okay, time for the spiral. I'm just going to take white and give the basic outline of how it's going to go around. And you can do this for the whole front of the shirt if you want. I wanted that kind of background of galaxy colors underneath the spiral. Now go in and add your darker colors on top of the white. But as you follow the spiral and having the white base, it gives the structure to the spiral that you've created. That white is the foundation for it. And if you follow along with it with your colors and go in the swirl, then all of your strokes and your paint strokes with your sponges help create that swirl illusion as well. And don't forget about your sleeves. Remember, just go lightly so that they don't leak through to the back. And be careful of the edge of the cardboard too. Now's the time to kind of check over, see if you have any spots you aren't happy with, blend in anything, check your sides, make sure there's kind of a transition between the front and the back, even if you have to pull it around up on your cardboard like that. It just takes a few strokes, but just a little between the front and the back so that they're joined. Sorry for my head getting in the way there. Sometimes I just sort of get into it. Okay, let's add some of those colored flicks like we did on the back. I really like how those turned out. This is one of those cases where you make an oops and you realize, hey, that makes it better. Okay, now let it completely dry and we'll move on to the stars. For the stars, I used glow-in-the-dark paint, and of course you still need your textile medium. To apply the paint, you're going to need some sort of stiff brush, like a stencil brush or an old toothbrush will work. And then I also used a cotton swab, and where I pulled off the cotton off of one end. The ratio of the glow-in-the-dark paint and the fabric medium is the same, 2 parts paint, 1 part fabric medium, and mix them well. For my grandson's shirt, I put the star constellations or astrological constellations on the shirt. And I use that cotton swab. I use the end with the cotton for larger stars, more prominent stars, and the end without for smaller, less prominent stars. And you can see I just use kind of a basic reference to get out the outline of the constellation. I did not put the lines in between the stars like you normally see with constellation. I wanted it to be more subtle. This is more kind of like an inside secret for my grandson to know what was on his shirt. Again, I started on the back of the shirt, just like I did with the base paint. And there's actually going to be 2 constellations on the back. One was my star sign, and then the other is my husband's, his grandfather. And it also matches his dad's star sign. So I told him his Mimi and his Papa Bear and his dad always have his back. Again, this is completely optional. This is not something you have to do. If you don't want to put any sort of constellation, you can skip ahead to the part where we're just adding random stars. Now, like with the colored flicks we did, I am just using an old toothbrush and rubbing my thumb across the bottom, and this flicks paint on it in random sprays and gives it different sizes. You can pile on, in certain areas to make it thicker. And this was just the whole solar system, galaxy, stars effect all over the shirt. And put lots and lots of these little paint flecks all over it. Think about it when you see a picture of a galaxy. There are just millions and trillions of stars. So go heavy with this. I also found that the mixture of just glow-in-the-dark paint and fabric medium dried lighter than I liked. So in a minute, we're going to add in some white paint and add even more of these. But it's nice that this kind of lighter layer helps give a lot of dimension to the galaxy that we're creating. Okay, so I let that dry, and as you can see here, my constellation is way too light. I'm going to mix up 1 part glow-in-the-dark paint, 1 part regular white craft paint, and then 1 part fabric medium, because that creates that 2-to-1 of paint to fabric medium. And this will give us brighter stars, but still have the glow-in-the-dark effect. And I'm just going to go over my constellation stars really quick. You don't have to do this, or you could have started this at the beginning, but I actually liked the 2-layer effect. I felt it really helped that sort of glow and help the constellation pop out just a little bit more than the background stars. And now let's add a layer of the brighter stars on top. Use an old toothbrush or stiff brush and just do lots and lots of flicking all around your shirt and giving it layers of stars, just like with a galaxy. After you feel like you have enough stars, set it aside, let it dry completely. Then we're going to flip it over and work on the front. This time I started with just the glow-in-the-dark paint and the fabric medium and put a base in of stars. I decided I'd go ahead and do the constellation with the brighter paint instead of 2 layers. So just put your base level down. And again, I encourage you to do this with just the glow-in-the-dark paint and the fabric medium because it really helps the dimensional look of the galaxy to have that lighter layer in there and the kind of darker, brighter, whiter paint layered on top of it. And it has different glow-in-the-dark effects, too, of the pure glow-in-the-dark paint with the medium, and then the glow-in-the-dark paint mixed in with the white. Okay, now we'll take the paint that is glow-in-the-dark, white paint, and fabric medium. And I'm going to do my grandson's constellation on the front. And like I said, this is totally optional. This is just something I chose to do for him. You can do any constellation, Big Dipper, whatever, or nothing. You can just put dots all over and make it just a random sky scene, or you could make this into some sort of like solar system project with your kid and put our solar system in there. Really, you can just let your imagination go wild and do whatever you like on the front with the stars. Then I decided I'd give these stars a little extra pizzazz. I took a toothpick and spread out the white paint so it looked more like a star burst or a twinkling star. And I just chose to do it with some of them, not all of them. But it helped these stars stand out a little bit brighter and gave it that twinkling look like you see with some of the brighter stars. When you get the bigger stars like you want them, it's time to do all the flicking with the smaller stars. Instead of evenly and randomly doing a layer, if you stop at one spot and do a couple of flicks, it puts clusters of stars. After you're done, let it dry for 24 hours. Then my textile medium said to lay down a cloth or a rag and then iron to help heat set the fabric in. But definitely check the directions of the fabric medium that you're using to see how to set the paint. And here's my adorable grandson modeling his new shirt. He also wanted me to give a shout out to his YouTube station, Grayson Gamer. So here is the back and the front of the shirt, along with a pair of Galaxy shoes I also made. This was a completely different method, and the video for that should pop up in your right-hand side of your screen in just a moment. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe to my channel for more projects, and thanks for watching.